Hello and welcome. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you felt aggrieved over a particular matter or issue arising from administrative bureaucratic errors, omission or abuse by government officials, or even limited liability companies here in Nigeria? If yes, then you probably may have heard of the Public Complaints Commission, or Ombudsman, an organ of the government set up to redress complaints lodged by aggrieved citizens right here in Nigeria against administrative injustice. Now, since its establishment in 1975 via Decree number 31 and amended by Decree number 21 of 1979, it has been at the forefront in trying to keep up with its mandate by promoting social justice for all Nigerians. Yet it will appear that the PCC isn't really known by millions of us Nigerians. Now, is the Commission really working even now that the country is in a democratic dispensation some 14 years on? Mr. Funso Olukoga, the Commissioner, Public Complaints Commission, is our guest to discuss issues as it affects the PCC, especially here in Lagos, the commercial nerve center of the country. I'm Ayatunde Balogun. It's question time. Mr. Femi Olukoga, you're welcome to Question Time.
Thank you very much.
All right, this week we're taking a look at the Public Complaints Commission. Another name for it is known as the Ombudsman. Now, I know that body has a basic responsibility of investigating reports from members of the public on all sectors of the economy. But let's even look at it holistically. The PCC, what is it all about?
There's no way you would talk about Public Complaints Commissioner without going back in history. The commission was established in 1975 and the establishment was based on the recommendation of a commission set up then by the government under General Yakubu Gowon. The commission was popularly referred to as the Udoji Commission. Now, part of the recommendation of that commission was that a body should be set up. The Ombudsman's office should be set up in Nigeria to take care of complaints coming from the general public. Now, it was going to be copied from what was happening in other parts of the world. So the recommendation was accepted and it led to the promulgation of the Public Complaints Commission Decree 31. Now there's been a metamorphosis. Today we have Public Complaints Commission Act, Cap 37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. So there has been an evolution, incorporating various matters into the act. So the one that I quoted is the present act. Now the Ombudsman's office, as I said, in Nigeria is to receive complaints from the general public. In accordance with the law, the act that enables the PCC is empowered to receive complaints and investigate such complaints against all governments in Nigeria. The federal government, the state government, the local government, and their agencies and agents.
Now, I understand that you are the commissioner for Lagos, and we have several commissioners in all other parts of the country in several states, and of course a chief commissioner at the headquarters in Abuja, the FCT. But what actually informed the decision of the commission to have commissioners in each state of the federation?
We deal with population, and you cannot have just the organization at the center taking care of the complaints of 170 million Nigerians. So the least the commission could do was to have a commissioner in each state. Let's take, for example, Lagos State with a population what we even had to do, and that's based on the general administrative system we have within the PCC, is that we even have area offices. For instance, in Lagos State, we have 5 area offices apart from the state headquarters, which is at Tafawa Balewa Square, National Assembly, the old National Assembly complex. So we have Moshi area office, Iba area office, Lagos Island area office, Ikorodu area office, and Badagry area office. Our intention is to create more area offices. These are located in the local government offices, and they're supposed to receive complaints from the grassroots. By that, we believe we are getting closer to the grassroots so that they can know, that they don't have to even come to the headquarters before lodging their complaints and having their complaints, resolved or addressed.
Now, it seems many Nigerians don't know much about the PCC, the Public Complaints Commission. How would you react to this notion?
I'll agree with you. I agree with you because this is what we, the kind of reaction we also have on the ground, wherever we go. And I can easily attribute this to the fact that over time, the body was not fully constituted, and I'm talking about the last 13 years or so. We did not have commissioners until last year. That is since the inception of the present administration. We did not, the civilian regime, we did not have commissioners in place. They were not appointed until May last year. And one could see that between the time when the commissioners were appointed and now, there has been some appreciable impact in the way that the Public Complaints Commissioner serves the people. So I can say that the fact that it was not fully constituted was one of the reasons why you didn't hear about it. But even more than that, this commission operated under the military before before 1999, when the present democratic experience started. And apart from the personalities that served as ombudsmen, who could not be repressed in any way, and I'm talking about Alhaji Meta Masule, Canon Mohammed, Mr. Brisibe, Dr. Tai Shulari, and the rest of them, who were former commissioners. It was difficult to really operate under the military system and criticize the system, because that's what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to take up issues on behalf of the people against the government. And I would say that that was something that the organization really will find difficult operating under the military system. So that might be responsible for the fact that the organization was not very well known.
Now, can you give us an insight into the challenges that you face as a commissioner of the commission here in Lagos? What are those things that you come across from members of the public in your day-to-day activities?
Lagos is a peculiar state. It has, you can say it has a full representation of all ethnic groups in Nigeria. I'm fully responsible when it comes to dealing with those complaints. So in every area that I have mentioned, and many more, I find myself, standing up there. Now I'll tell you about other specific areas, because our law empowers me to be proactive really. Where I think there is an issue that should be investigated, I go into it and I start investigation. I can also move to prevent complaints. I'll tell you, when the Dana air crash took place, of course, at this commission, we sensed that there would be complaints from relatives of the victims. So we were there at Lagos State University Teaching Hospital to meet with relatives of Dana air crash, relatives of victims of Dana air crash, especially those who wanted to receive, to collect the remains of their loved ones. So we had to meet Lagos State government agencies there on the spot to know what they were doing to alleviate the problems they were facing. Of course, we were able to see the side of the Lagos State government and to be able to explain things to the relatives of the aircraft, so of the victims of the aircraft. So we were able to play a part there. Now, another one, when the third mainland bridge was going to be repaired, we had to meet the controller of works, federal controller of works in Lagos, just to know what the government was doing to ensure that the suffering of the people was alleviated. We knew that they would encounter problems regarding traffic, so they were able to tell us, they were able to brief us. And so any complaints we received then, we didn't have to process fully. We could just give them reasons why certain things were happening. And on that occasion, I remember that we were able to suggest some of the things that we believed would help the Ministry of Works then in getting the information across to the people.
How do you bring two parties together who are in dispute, to resolve their differences, before involving the law courts?
The person has an option to come to a place like a Public Complaints Commission to lodge his complaint. And what the commission then does is it invites the other side, that is the person or the party being complained against. And then we try to see whether, what we can do to ensure that the matters are looked into and the matters are resolved between the parties.
If an employer actually fails to heed the PCC's persuasion, are there sanctions for such a person?
I would say that there could be sanctions. It depends, because the employer will probably have a regulatory body, or it may belong to an association, and we can report such employer to the regulatory body or to its association. And if it is an employer that the National Assembly, for instance, has some sort of supervisory role over, we can report the matter to the National Assembly, and they would invite such an employer, to come and explain the reasons why it is behaving that way, because generally that would be against public policy. And if in the course of everything we believe that the employer has committed a crime, for instance, not remitting pension funds, pension contributions to the appropriate quarters is a crime, we have the duty to report the matter to the EFCC.
Now, there's this general belief from members of the public, which has been there for so long, for so many years, that you cannot really take any battle or any case, against the federal government and expect to come out, on the winning side, if I may put it that way. You can't expect any positive results from it. Do you agree with that?
The PCC is protected by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that's why it has endured up till this moment. A commissioner can only be removed by the resolution of the two arms of the National Assembly, that is the Senate and the House of Representatives. To some extent, that's security for the position of the commissioner, so that the commissioner can, to a reasonable extent, question, as the National Assembly would do, the acts of the executive that it finds that either the commission or the commissioner finds to have led to injustice on the side of the people. So I would say that's security. And that's why I would say that things are now a bit different from what it used to be.
All right, Mr. Olukoga, let's just hold your thoughts there for some few seconds while we go on this quick break. And when we come back, we shall continue with our discussion. Mr. Funso Olukoga, the Commissioner of the Public Complaints Commission here in Lagos, as he speaks more to us on the activities of the PCC and what really needs to be done to carry Nigerians, members of the public, along.
You see, life has just got easier. You stay connected to Channels TV, where news and innovations are shaping our world. Simply log on to channelstv.com to get the breaking news. Browse the homepage according to what matters to you. Tap on the extended coverage of business, sports, politics, lifestyle, infotech, entertainment, health, world news, and lots more. Click on the live link and see the news in real time. Do you want to watch the latest video of the day? It's just a click away. Friend us on Facebook, YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Google+, participate in Channels TV poll and share your comments. It's a website you can talk to. Your voice will be heard.
channelstv.com. The news at your fingertips.
You're welcome back. It's still question time on Channels Television, and our guest, Mr. Funso Olukoga, the Commissioner of Public Complaints Commission, is still here with us. And they've talked quite extensively on the activities of the Commission. Quite a lot has been said, but of course we shall be going into other areas which is of great interest to Mr. Olukoga and of course many of you out there. We talked about having several people coming in to make complaints about several sectors, which he also reeled out earlier on in the course of our discussion. Now, Mr. Olukoga, let's even look at the issue of pensions. We know that is another area that has generated so much public outcry in recent times, in fact several years. But at least we now know that the National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Representatives has taken the lead in trying to see that this matter is resolved. Some names have propped up in recent weeks, people accused of diverting these huge sums of monies, running into millions and even billions. Now, how would you react to this form of scenario that is taking the leeway now in the country? And what do you think the PCC can do to ensure that we put an end to all these problems that we are witnessing right now?
Yes, we did receive complaints regarding pensions. And that's why at the end of last year, it prompted us to decide to focus our attention on three key areas this year. That is more than all other areas. And we're talking about the aviation industry, the mobile telephone system, that industry, and employment, and with particular reference to pensions. because we received cases of pensions that were not being remitted. In this country, there was a system that we were operating that didn't protect the pensioners enough or adequately. We decided to change that, and we brought about the Pension Reforms Act 2004. It was to ensure that employers of labor and employees themselves, they make contributions together, and at the end of the day, that contribution will now serve as what the working person who was retired will live on for the rest of his life. Now, to now have some elements, exploiting that system, stealing from that system, taking such funds away, from them, and eventually, because that is what it's going to lead to, denying them those who are entitled to it, denying them of means of livelihood for the rest of their life. I think, as I said again, it is immoral. It should be dealt with. That's what Pension Reforms Act 2004 attempted to do, to protect the pensioner, to protect the system, to punish the exploiter. So as far as I'm concerned, we have the law is adequate in doing that.
Now, Mr. Olukoga, we're really running out of time, but let me also ask you this, still concerning the PCC. Now, we've talked extensively on the establishment, the decrees that came about in forming this commission, and of course, we also looked at the issue of having several commissioners in several states, and of course, the chief commissioner, and you also made mention of the commissioner being responsible to the National Assembly and not necessarily the government, because when people bring cases or complaints about whatever it is, they want to get justice done. But looking at it now holistically, for the future projections, what do you think we can still do? To make the PCC even more relevant? Because, like I said, it doesn't appear that many people know about this commission, and if they do, it's just a little number. So what can we do to really empower the PCC and make them more relevant for the future?
The PCC has to do a lot to publicize its activities. It has to publicize its activities to ensure that people know what it stands for, and to ensure that they can actually come to the PCC and that their matters, their complaints will be resolved. Once all of that is done, then the issue of knowing whether this organization is in existence and knowing what it can do, that one is resolved. We are moving here in Lagos. We are doing what we can to ensure that PCC is known. And we are also trusting that the media will partner with us so that this organization, because it is unique, it is not like any other commission, because all the other commissions and agencies, they were appointed, they are appointed by the government and they serve the government. Now, we are appointed within the government, but not by the government, now to ensure that the government serves the people. So that uniqueness should always be underscored, especially in the media. That's one. Now, on the part of the government, this organization should be well funded. It should be really relocated in the national scheme of things, so that the people can continue to look at it as an avenue where their complaints can be vented. It's not every time that you want the people to rise up and protest. Look, if there's an organization like that, it also helps the government, because it helps the government to pass the message on to the people before getting them in the streets protesting. If somebody knows the reason why something is being done, and he agrees, he doesn't have to go to the to picketing and all that. The matters get resolved. So a lot of communication gap needs to be bridged there. So that's on the part of the government. So on the part of the people, let them not suffer in silence. Let them bring more of their issues. Let them patronize Public Complaints Commission. As I said, we address all issues. The little restrictions we have is that when the matter is in court, we don't deal with it. Also, if there is any problem, make sure you bring it within 1 year, because if you don't, the law says we should not entertain them. Then, for now, matters of internal matters that relate to the internal laws of the armed forces, we don't deal with them, because these are special matters, and because we do not have the expertise for that, so we don't deal with that. But when it comes to the to members of the armed forces doing anything that leads to injustice against the general public.
So quickly before we go, how really affordable are the services in the PCC?
Well, our services are free.
Oh,
that's the interesting part of it. You can just come forward, just bring your complaints, lodge your complaints. You can make the complaints in two parts, maybe 2 copies. Submit one to us, and then we put one on the file, and we send one to. You can keep a copy. Then we send one. So if it's in 3, we send one to the respondent, and the respondent is supposed to respond within a short time, maybe 30 days, and then we take it from there.
All right, so we just have to draw the curtain on this week's edition. We thank you so much, Mr. Funso Olukoga,
Thank you very much.
Spending time with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time.
Thanks, sir.
So there you have it. Well, the Public Complaints Commission, the PCC, is still very much in existence, and our guest is optimistic that as long as Nigerians know that they can trust the Commission to ensure that they get social justice from government and corporate entities, the more relevant the PCC will be in our country. And not forgetting that their services are free as well. Now, we hope that the PCC is under the government and it will not be used by the authorities negatively, but in a positive manner to act as a voice for the voiceless. And whatever challenges being experienced now, the National Assembly will come to its aid by way of proper legislation to empower it, not just for today, but for the future. Well, that's our package for this week. Don't forget you can send us your questions, comments and suggestions to questiontime@channelstv.com, or you can also watch us online at channelstv.com. I'm Ayatunde Balogun. Till next week, it's bye for now.